and CEO. This session is never been here. Yeah, it's reserved, so I think you can take those seats. Yeah. And General Górka, welcome. Everyone, yeah, please join. Andre, come on. Yeah, join us. You are Jedi. Come on, join us. This guy is from France, and he's investor. So I don't know where are those guys, the startups. You are somewhere here, yeah? We made this for you only, guys, only for you. I mean startups, right? Yeah, John, yeah, take a seat, join us. Yeah, this is a unique session, and I'm telling you, I work with this guy like at 6 months. Really painful, but we manage. We manage because what we would like to discuss, to show you that innovation comes from power or from willing to innovate and from cooperation, right? You need to have this idea, and later on the founders will tell you you need this vision, strength, and cooperation. So we wait a few minutes more, but I want to make this introduction because this is the only session, and I got even purplish, which is unique for me because I'm always black. And I got this because I said I'm MSc for this session. So this is how it came. So briefly today, what we will be having, we'll be having a fire chat, we'll be having a presentation of the one of the part group of the startups and the program by the Polish Development Fund, which is one of the leading institutions, been for so many years that it's really them to do a lot in terms of from the public, let's say public-private sector. Yeah, we know we have a lot of investors, but this institution is behind this. Then we have a second group of startups and with a different idea. And then you will see the presentations. Yes, Chris, please join us. Good. So we have almost all the speakers, because at the end we will have a panel discussion and we will have presentation. You all have now the Dual-Use Founders Handbook, and this is where is also our logo, and great gentlemen, Wojciech and Marcin will tell you just a bit. They have 10 minutes for this. I hope they manage. They are the venture capital investors. Please, Sylvia, join us, take a seat, Maciej, yeah, don't be shy. This is where we all should know by name, and I hope you remember my name, Wojciech, or Adalbertus in Latin. So this is this session. It's 2 hours. It's very intensive, and hopefully we'll keep up with the schedule with Veronica and our guests. So we have 2 hours, and how I said, it's unique, and I think this is the beginning for Warsaw Security Forum to open doors for such a innovation in terms of the subject, innovation in terms of how we organize panels and so on. We do have later on in the evening, there is other event. Probably you got some invitations also connected with this. I don't know if Sebastian is here. He probably will join us. Another guy that helped the things rolling for today. So, yeah, I managed even before. It's still like, I don't know, 1 minute. Yeah, 15. No, the 15 will be first session. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and I'm very happy also to welcome some of the partners, and we have also partners that are for the first time and continuing with us. And very happy to have also the Polish investors in a company like Millennium, welcome, and also our partners. And this is why I mentioned this. It's not because there's any agreement. This is because I believe in such a projects, and I believe that we can have also our partners from US, many different countries, the big one, and do it something together. Okay, so welcome to Warsaw Security Forum Innovation Hub 2025. Let's the show begin. Veronica.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I will try to match Wojciech energy. Once again, big applause for our MC. I'm delighted to be hosting today's fireside chat, where we will explore the defense innovation landscape with my distinguished guests. And please welcome on the stage Brigadier General Marcin Górka, Director, Department of Innovation, Ministry of National Defense, Republic of Poland. John Hultquist, Chief Analyst, Google Threat Intelligence Group. And Aleksander Mokrzycki, Deputy CEO, PFR Ventures. We don't have much time, gentlemen, so let's frame this conversation. Is defense innovation calming the world or heating it up? General, please take the first word on it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Going straight to the question, I believe that nothing is good or bad from the nature. Yeah, this is about how you use it. So you can use a knife, to slice the bread, but you can also use the knife to threaten someone. So it depends on how you use it. So it might, in some way, create a threat, or you can just deter from the threat. So that's more or less general what I believe. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. John, your perspective from the cyber world?
Well, I think there are a lot of technologies that have made my job harder, right? But I think ultimately they've probably been net wins for the rest of the world and for most organizations, right? And we recognize that sometimes when we make these changes that they come with some downsides, right? And part of our job is just managing that, right? Managing the risks associated with that.
Perfect. And Aleksander, how does the investment community see this trade-off?
In general, we can see more and more investments in this field. There are more and more investors that are willing to put additional money, more and more venture capital teams that are looking for new ideas. And all of this is coming from the fact that more and more governments are investing much into defense. So, and that also includes Poland. Maybe that's in short.
Thank you. And you mentioned government. So it's interesting for me to hear such consistency across all three sectors. So maybe let's go a bit deeper, and we will start with that government. So General, is government prepared to take the same risk on innovation that startups do?
I believe that government is, of course, not at the same, I would say, risk appetite level. But this is something we are working on in the Ministry of National Defense. That's why we are trying to engage with the startups and innovator communities, with the venture capitals and technological parks and any other institutions that can in some way help us to develop the capability we need to develop, and also to create a kind of the environment that the armed forces, they are looking into the latest technologies and trying to understand what they can do with the technology. So that's a kind of the way we are on. And I think it's also the good place to say that we are very thankful to the Polish Development Fund and also Polish Development Fund's venture for the support we are getting, also the Krakow Technological Park, because we are getting a lot of support from them to better understand how we can be exposed to the risk and how we can in some way learn from this risk and implement this into the armed forces, which is quite challenging because on the other hand, we live on the taxpayer money, so that's a great responsibility to make sure that we spend the money in the way the taxpayer they want us to spend.
Perfect. And John, turning to you, is the private sector now the first line of defense, particularly given the rise of cyber threats?
Well, I think it's an extremely important part. It's not the only part, right? I think the really interesting thing about cyber threats is that a lot of the threat traverses the private sector, and so that we became a really important part. You know, I started doing this in the government a million years ago, and I went to a lunch, and somebody said something to me about a espionage campaign that I'd only heard about in very, 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 controlled spaces. And the hair on the back of I remember my hair on the back of my neck stood up. And what I didn't realize at the time is so much of this was going across the internet, right? And there were other people who had visibility there that could be of value. So yeah, I think we're an extremely important partner, but not the only place to learn.
Perfect. And Aleksander, is Poland investing in defense innovation fast enough to remain relevant globally, in your opinion?
We could invest faster, but that's one side. But the main issue is not how much money and how fast you put into this business, but how fast the armed forces are able to implement the solutions that the funds and we indirectly are investing in. So I think that we created a situation. We started the cooperation with the Ministry of Defense like 4 years ago, something like that, when NATO Innovation Fund was created together with our support and the support of the Ministry of Defense representatives, including General Górka. So that's going on, and we are speeding up somehow. We started also investing into funds. We have just announced the first investment into the fund called Expeditions Fund. That's the first fund within our deep tech strategy. We are planning to sign additional agreements with new funds very soon. And we hope that this cooperation with the Ministry of Defense will speed up. So in short, are we investing fast enough? I think so in current circumstances.
Thank you. And you already mentioned a few times cooperation between PFR and MOD. So, General, how MOD sees the startup? As the partner or not really on the same level as the primes?
That's a very good question, because this is the question how the Ministry of National Defense, the Polish Armed Forces, how they satisfy their needs. Yeah, this is who are the providers of the solutions to the Ministry of National Defense. So I would say that from the traditional point of view, we like to go to the primes, to have a long discussion with them, to discuss about our needs and requirements and come up with the solutions. But on the other hand, there is a kind of the factor, I call it like the technology lifespan. With current technology lifespan, you cannot do it in this way anymore. So what you need to do, you need to try to put together everyone in this kind of the ecosystem, that you've got the startups. They are very fast to develop technology, but based on already delivered a kind of research outcomes. Yeah, so you can use the research to develop the capabilities based on the latest technology. But at the same time, you cannot expect that the startups that will bring you to the armed forces, the kind of the weapon system solutions, you need to have the primes to implement those latest research and technology into the innovative solutions that you can apply into your weapon systems. Yeah, so you need to build this ecosystem, and to build that one, we need to change a little bit our approach to the procurement system to make sure that our procurement system is fast enough to accommodate what is developed by startups. Yeah, and that's I think today the main challenge. Yeah? The question was if we are ready and if we can implement this quickly. I believe we would love to be ready and after the implementation phase, but I think we are still on our way to make sure that we can, I would say, take advantage from all those developments which are done by the typical civilian market, but the development, they've got a kind of the dual-use applicability. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are circling around Poland, but John, Google is an international company, and you mentioned your experience within the government or the military or within the private sector. So is there anything that you want to elaborate when it comes to cooperation between governments internationally and your company?
Well, I can tell you that one of the real benefits we can bring to a problem like a problem in Poland is global visibility, right? Historically, one of the ways that we've gotten ahead of threat actors is going to the place where they target the most, and that place for Russia has been Ukraine. We've actively watched what's going on in Israel. That's how you learn about what's going on from Iran. We've been in Taiwan. That's how you learn what goes on from China. That global visibility and that sort of global perspective can be incredibly valuable that we can bring with us and apply to a local problem.
Thank you. And since we are lacking slowly of time, I have one last question. I would like to close with just a quick yes or no from each of you, or maybe one sentence max. Gentlemen, do you believe the next major breakthrough in defense likely to come from a startup or not? Which one would you be? Aleksander, what is your opinion?
That will come from startups, and that's the quantum area. Quantum will change the world that we can see right now, and it will happen in maximum 5 years. Quantum is a kind of complete change maker for both the business, and the same is for defense. There is nothing more important than quantum, and of course you can merge that with other areas like cyber.
That was very specific. I hope the next year we can meet again and check your opinion. And John, yes or no?
I think it's going to be a mixture. I could tell you, the problem that I'm really looking at right now and I'm really interested in is AI, right? And there's sort of like two major use cases that I'm really concerned about. One is the use of AI to find vulnerabilities in software. Google is actually leading the way. A team at DeepMind built a model that has found 20 vulnerabilities already. We've literally used it to stop 0 days from threat actors. It's incredible. And it came out of a group that was purpose-driven and extremely well-resourced at Google to do that sort of thing. At the same time, I know a lot of people who have left for startups that are currently basically getting involved in sort of AI red teaming. And we expect that will be a huge part of the sort of AI cybersecurity scene as well. And so that problem may actually, the answers to that problem may come out of a startup. And so I think both sides have something to offer.
Thank you. In general?
It's a really hard question to answer, but I believe that this is going to be kind of a combination of the typical research and development, and when you put this innovative way of thinking on this kind of the R&D developments which come from the startups, yes, you can get a kind of breakthrough. I do look closely to the quantum, and also because AI, it's happening now. it's happening now, but I also believe that we cannot say that the quantum or AI or any other human enhancement technology is going to make the breakthrough, because this is going to be a combination of the number of technologies. When you, for example, if you use the AI to support the quantum solutions, this might give you a kind of the kind of the breakthrough.
Thank you very much. All clear. Thank you, gentlemen, for your insights and your honesty. And I think that you will dig deeper into the subject with Eliza in the next few minutes. Thank you. And now let's welcome on the stage Mikołaj Raczyński, Chief Investment Officer and Board Member at Polish Development Fund, here to officially open the AIDA Bootcamp and present PFR work in a deep tech ecosystem.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you at the opening of AIDA Bootcamp 2025 here at the Warsaw Security Forum. And let me start with congratulations to the 30 selected teams chosen from a record 111 applications. This is a proof of how much energy and ambition there is today in the field of dual-use innovation in Poland. The mission of AIDA is clear: to support companies whose technologies can be served both in civilian and defense needs, to help them to prepare for cooperation with armed forces, procurement agencies, the defense industry, and with investors. In other words, to bridge innovation with real security needs. AIDA Bootcamp is a flagship part of this mission, an intensive 3-day accelerator preceded by preparation and followed by mentoring. It gives founders a chance to test their ideas against real operations, real operational requirements to meet users, industry leaders, and investors, and to present their solutions at the demo day. And this year's edition focuses on two tracks of critical importance. The first one, space and secure communication, where satellite, imagine resilient data networks, and cybersecure communications become the backbone of both civilian life and military operations. The second one, also very important these days, given our energy transformation, the protection of Baltic critical infrastructure, a track addressing offshore energy installations, ports, and subsea cables, where new technologies can directly enhance the resilience of Europe's frontline. These themes are not abstract. They reflect concrete challenges facing our security environment today. And I also want to thank you, our partners, for joining forces together with us this year. The Ministry of National Defense, Argus, Formosa, PGZ, WB Group, ISI, Cloudflare, and Palantir. Together, we create an ecosystem where innovation can be tested, challenged, and scaled. Although AIDA is still young, but results already speak for themselves. In 2 editions, 45 teams have taken part, holding over 700 one-to-one meetings with military representatives, industry, and investors. We have seen venture investments in startups such as SATIM, such as DefendEye, continued cooperation with the armed forces by the teams like QuantumQuest and Cryat, and even partnerships formed between the startups themselves, PUAV with Odorun or RB Defense with Ravobeam. The program also led to the creation of the first map of Polish dual-use solutions, which has become a reference point to the entire ecosystem. To build on these experiences, we are also presenting the updated dual-use handbook. It's here in the room, prepared with Bolnord, which shared lessons and practical guidance for innovators entering this demanding field. AIDA is about preparing projects, but innovation also needs capital to grow. This is why, and we have been discussing this today, PFR created and launched the PFR Deep Tech Fund, committing 70 million euros to the program in the first stage. We believe it strengthens the ecosystem by supporting experienced venture capital teams who then back the most promising deep tech startups in Poland. And the focus is clear: AI, cybersecurity, robotics, quantum, and space technologies, the very areas where dual-use innovation is most critical. IDA builds the pipeline. PFR Deep Tech ensures that the pipeline flows into real investments and Skylabs. Ladies and gentlemen, today's innovation is tomorrow's security. The presence of 30 selected teams today is a proof of how much determination and potential exists in our system. IDA is designed to turn the potential into structured projects aligned with user needs and ready for investments. I wish you very productive sessions, concrete insights, and results that extend far beyond this bootcamp. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paweł Kuras, dual-use program manager at the Polish Development Fund, and I have a pleasure to start pitch deck session of 3 startups coming from previous IDA editions. Today, they will share their inspiring journeys. At the beginning, I would like to invite Satim, a company that took a long road to bring their product to life. Their boldness and consistency paid off with commercial success supported by VC funds like Balnord. What do they do? Let's give them floor. Stasia, tell your story.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with you and share our story, our technology. So my name is Stasia Porzycka-Strzelczyk. I am co-founder and CTO of Satim. Satim is a Polish company, but it's a global leader in AI-based object detection and the classification on satellite source scenes. To simplify this, we transform satellite data into actionable information, and we are doing this mainly for defense. We all know that information is critical, it's very important as tanks, as critical as ammunition. Therefore, satellite systems, radar systems, are a game changer. Why? Because they see at night, they see through clouds, they work when optical systems go blind. And you have to all know that on Eastern Front, more than 75% of time, soldiers faces darkness, clouds, fog. Without radar system, satellite system, drone systems, we are without information. But SAR images are extremely hard to interpret, really, really hard. To analyze one scene that is like 5 by 5 kilometers, we need sometimes hours to do that manually. And we have to analyze hundreds of images per day, and we have to analyze them as fast as possible to deliver information. Look at this image. It's very sharp, beautiful image acquired by ISI. Congratulations to ISI. They transformed what we can do with SAR system worldwide. It's beautiful. It covers the Russian airbase that is located around 150 kilometers from NATO borders. And ask yourself how many objects you can detect, you can recognize on the SAR scene. And now ask yourself how many of them you can detect and classify in seconds. Doing this manually is not an option. We have to automatize the process. Otherwise, SIR images will remain unused and we will stay without information. And this is exactly what SATIM delivers. We have very advanced AI models that can automatically detect and classify objects present on the SAR scenes. We are doing this with very high accuracy, like 90% accuracy, and we are doing this in seconds. So now you can look again on the SAR scene that I presented, and this SAR scene hides quite large objects, like 40 meters long, long range, supersonic, strategic Russian bombers, Tu-22M. If you look on the SAR signatures of these objects, it's not so obvious, right? We have different signatures of exactly the same objects. We can transform this information within a second for you. And remember, we have to analyze hundreds, thousands of images per day. Time is short, and we don't have enough specialized analysts, and we will not have. There is no chance to scale up the analyst. What I said is not just a promise that we can do this. Leading defense and space organizations already use SATIM solution. You can see here the names of the companies that using our solution or now are entering the partnership and deployment. And those big names rely on us because we can deliver what no one else can. So after this very short presentation, please remember SATIM, Polish company, global leader in object detection and classification on satellite SAR scenes. We are ready here to support, to strengthen our security with our technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stanisława. Now I would like to invite RB Defense. Their story proves that engineers and scientists can solve complex scientific problems while building commercial solutions successfully sold to the defense market. Rafał, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Rafał Rodblom. I'm the managing partner of RB Defense. So yes, basically we are a research and development company, and our experience and expertise is taken mostly from the R&D projects. For example, for the European Space Agency and, for example, NCBR and SHAFIR program. We have magnetism, kind of an interesting phenomena, which is that kind of information that is not really easy to disturb. So basically, if we are basing on the magnetism, we can detect and get information very precisely, and very precise information about the, for example, vessels on the sea or other objects that are just passing by our sensors. So we have a range, we've developed a range of magnetic sensors. Some of them are handheld devices that are kind of more sophisticated metal detectors, but some of them are the fully professional sensors that are used, for example, in projects like MACTRAC, where together with Polish Academy of Science, we are developing the navigation system based on the anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field. We've also developed acoustic sensors, which is kind of the answer for current threats when it comes to drone detection and drones classification. Regarding that acoustic sensors, we have based our product on the Telinga dish microphone that is the world's best microphone from Sweden, which guarantees the best and the longest range of detection. Having the chance to stand up here and tell some things, I also wanted to mention that in most cases we think that maybe the scaling up the company is about the money, for example, or about the technology. From our experience, it's more about the collaboration and cooperation, because in today's world, money is not a problem. Technology sometimes is also not a problem, but the problem is how to adapt and how to collaborate in a fast pace, that pace that is somehow relevant to the current threats. And so with that thought on mind, I think that we are able to stand strong and create technology and create this technology in a pretty good scale that will be sufficient, for example, to meet the requirements from the Polish army, for example. But we need to collaborate, and we need to collaborate in a pretty fast pace, just to be ahead of our friends. Let's call them in that way from the Russia, for example. So I hope that we'll find a way how to collaborate together, all together. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rafał. Last but not least, Hultquist, the perfect example of what dual use means. As a software house, they saw market needs and with a strong sense of mission that creates new product for defense sector.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's December the 8th. 1941, and thousands of people all around United States of America, completely spontaneously, are gathering on the streets, on plazas, in workplaces, even climbing the mountains and towers. Why? Well, because they're looking for threats. Because this is what happened the day before. Pearl Harbor Air Base, naval base, was completely destroyed by undetected Japanese airstrikes. No one has seen that coming. Nor FDR, no Congress, not even the whole US citizen community. They were completely blind. So, what do they do in order to respond to that attack? Well, in infamous speech, FDR declared creation of Ground Observer Corps, which basically was an extremely large, consisting of thousands of volunteers, network of people just like us that were watching the sky day by day, night by night, for weeks, months, even during the Cold War. That's how effective this program was. Now, that was 1941. If we fast forward to 2025, we can see exactly the same pattern replicated in Ukraine. They have the app called IPO, which basically do exactly the same. Connects thousands of volunteers and really simple detectors in order to notify whether the threat is coming or not. So luckily, we have not read that newspaper, right? We are too young, at least I myself. But unfortunately, we have seen kind of similar headlines recently, 2 weeks ago, when Russia attacked our airspace with around 20 drones. We don't know exactly how many of them were because, once again, as with Pearl Harbor, there is no detection system. Not yet. So the US did their job in order to respond to that. Ukraine is luckily doing their job on their side. The question is, what about Poland? And that's the question that we've been asking ourselves at Hultquist, since we are an AI company 100% from Poland. Can we solve that issue? In order to respond to that question, we have to firstly think, okay, what do we need for a system like that? Firstly, we have to have a lot of cheap detectors, the net of detectors. Then we have to also have a software that will combine the data. Also, a lot of volunteers, and lastly, the funding. Luckily, it looks like we have solved the hardest part, so the hardware and the software. Even though we are a small company, around 40 people, you probably have used this week apps we created, no matter what country you are from, like Glassdoor or Żabka in Poland or Weight Watchers. We've been nominating by, we have a lot of awards, and we went viral recently on X. More than 2,000 volunteers are ready to participate in this network. The problem is, last missing component, which is the funding. So, if you are an investor and you want to join us, let's chat after this call. We just launched the Solata.pl, which is going to be the largest, at least for now in Poland, but hopefully in whole Europe, network of civil defense society. And this is the prototype of our solution, which is 10 kilometers away from this conference room. I can show you if you want. These are my credentials. Drop me a line or just let's chat after this call. Luckily for Poland, the Pearl Harbor moment did not come yet. Let us prepare. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for Google Startups.
Welcome, everyone. Can we put on the slides? This one or this one? Hello, my name is Michał Kramasz. I'm leading Google for Startups in Central and Eastern Europe. And no worries, I'm not going to talk for the next 30 minutes. I'm actually going to talk for the next couple of minutes and then introduce to stage a couple of the startups that are supported by Google for Startups. But first of all, why Google is here? We are at the Innovation Hub. We've been pretty successful with some of the innovations many of you might be using. We're also, as John was saying during the panel, doing a lot in terms of cybersecurity. And our mission is actually to support the founders with our products, technology, and our knowledge. So in terms of focus on the cybersecurity, we believe one thing is the technology, but second thing is community trust and collaboration. And this is why we have launched almost 3 years ago cybersecurity focused programs where we support the startups that are building the solutions that can support our own safety. So the Growth Academy programs are actually 3 months long programs where we basically from across Europe and US gather the startups that build using AI technologies the cybersecurity solutions that can help us solve for the coming challenges. And in terms of the programs, we focus on 3 elements. So one element is, of course, helping with Google technology. Second element is helping with mentors and with the best know-how that we have. But third element is actually building a community of people that solve the similar challenges that can help every one of us and that can help protect our safety. Throughout the 2025 edition, we have welcomed 16 companies in the program. The startups have been supported by the best experts on the Google side, including Google Cloud, including Mandiant, including Virus Total, which are the companies that Google has built or acquired throughout the years. And basically, we believe that utilizing this joint knowledge helps us be better protected for everyone. And the case is, we are not only focusing on Poland, we are actually focusing on European and US startups. And today we will have also representatives of the 3 companies from the Central and Eastern Europe region talking about their solutions and showcasing what they have built. Throughout the last 3 years, we have supported over 40 companies. And actually the 3 of them, which is Autologic, Let's Data, and Talsec, are the companies that will be speaking in a few minutes, showcasing their solutions. Why we've selected these companies? Because these are representatives of Central Eastern Europe. So we have Autologic from Poland, we have Let's Data from Ukraine, and we have Talsec from Czech Republic. So the cybersecurity solutions and cyber defense solutions are built actually from this region. So we will be continuing this, and by the end of this year, we will be announcing a 3rd edition of Growth Academy programs. So if you are a startup, or if you have a startup, or if you know a startup that is building cybersecurity from this region, I encourage you to scan this code and learn more about the companies we already supported, how the program looks like, and how to share this and how to apply for the program. So let's meet the founders that will be speaking today. So let me start from Andriy, representing Ukraine, Let's Data, dealing with misinformation and disinformation, which I think in the current situation is super important. So Andriy, the voice is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Michał. Thank you, everyone, and Google for Startups for this opportunity. So my name is Andriy Kusy. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Let's Data. Let's Data is a radar against information operations. So what are those information operations? You might know them as hundreds of fake Facebook profiles reposting Russia Today 86 times per second in your news feeds. Or you might know them as AI-generated journalists on TikTok calling for a protest in front of the company offices over the unexisting abuses. At Let's Data, we use AI to detect early signals of such events, and we provide threat intelligence for you to be able to mitigate those events before they get viral. And we talked a lot at this conference about the new landscape of security and how AI is changing the security landscape and the defense landscape, and about the new geopolitical reality in which we all live. And I wanted to bring a few cases of showing how the AI is transforming information operations. And the first case is we recently have detected an AI-assisted crypto scam targeting UK, Czechia, Poland, and many other countries. So how it works, it's very interesting setup. You have Facebook pages, hundreds of them, that use AI-generated content and deepfakes of the famous people telling about how they earn on the crypto apps. And this content is being disseminated through the meta ads to the audiences and the clients of the major banking and financial institutions. And then what's interesting, that this content does not simply lead to the crypto app or a website or anything like that. Instead, it leads you to the replica of the BBC or other reputable news outlets with lots of real their articles, as well as lots of fake articles with those same deepfake videos of famous people telling how they earn. And then, only then, there is a mention of the crypto scam app or a crypto scam website on which people enter their data, invest the money, and when they try to withdraw, they understand that there is nothing to withdraw anymore. And they are hating BBC and TVP and all of the others for not vetting that properly. What's interesting about this use case is not just that it's being run by the cyber criminals to earn. It's interesting because the exact same technique has been used by Russia a few years ago in the doppelganger campaign, and back then it was unprecedented. Like using such a level of infrastructure and such a level of techniques was available only to the state actors with the large budgets. But nowadays, the return on investment works for the crypto scammers. So now the businesses and the regular institutions are under threat. But if the return on investment works for the crypto scammers, imagine what the hostile state can do now. And that brings me to the second case. We've been for the last 2 years monitoring Moldova info space and working with the institutions and the media organizations there on analyzing, detecting, and disrupting information operations. In the 2024, we had 270 incidents. This year, it's not even the end of the year, we had close to 500 already. And if you've followed the crypto scam case, this is just peanuts comparing to what's happening in Moldova. You have hundreds of AI-generated TikTok accounts being connected directly to the LLMs, reaching millions in 30 days. Overall, it's estimated Russia spent 200 to 300 million on disrupting Moldova, and luckily there have been a big consolidation of the organization, and there have been lots of AI-driven monitoring deployed in Moldova, so we can see that the results were not that much impacted, but and we still have the pro-European government there, but Russia will try to take the revenge. And when you have such a diverse set of adversaries like cyber criminals, hostile states, and others using the latest advancements of AI to attack you, it's very difficult to defend if you don't use AI in the defense side. So what we've been doing at Atlas Data for the last 4 years, we've been building research in all of those attack vectors and building AI systems that detect anomalies in the media signals and then help us to understand that this is an early signal of an information operation campaign, and then we deliver the alerts. And we aim to do that at the inception phase when it's just first few publications or when the accounts are just established, because at that stage, the malign actors already did the investment. They paid the people to set up the infrastructure, to set up the channels and everything. And if you can disrupt this campaign at the inception stage, the return on investment doesn't work for them anymore. And we aim to do that with 97% of the accuracy, so not to spam too much. And I wanted to quickly say about the Google for startups and why it's important, because the problem in this space is that everything is about trust. You're a startup, and there are 4,000 of us trying to get attention of the defense forces and the companies, and no one trusts you at the beginning, and Google has been an amazing supporter for us in that, because we went through the rigorous vetting process and started working with people from Mandian, CISO office, and many other institutions. And as a result, the trust started to appear. And we started getting pilots with the military organization. We started getting pilots with the defense forces. And now we are working with the NATO country armed forces. We are working with major European and the US financial institutions. And that's all in part due to support of Google. And this is a cool highlight of that. We had a chance to have a breakfast with Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. It was a very productive breakfast. We told a lot about the information operations and heard a bit, but nothing helps to build the credibility more than things like that. And my end message is that reality is that information operations and AI transformed the information operations more than anyone can imagine, and we're yet to see the most of the impact. So we need to revolutionize the cyber defense, and these information operations are the cybersecurity problem in reality, not just the comms problem. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jarek. I'm a co-founder of AutoLogic. We are building an identity infrastructure for the human AI agent internet. So I'm not sure if you know, but the gold standard for identity verification online right now is to take a photo of your physical plastic document and then a photo of your face. So this is obviously not something that we want to have in the 21st century. And because of AI, this process is completely obsolete. So what you see on the slide is how deepfake looks like. So the first element is a person that is impersonating other person by applying deepfake technology in real time. So whenever you talk to someone online, you can't be sure whether this is a real person or someone else. And the second picture is actually AI-generated picture of a passport. So you can log into any AI image generating tool, and you can ask the tool to actually generate any document you want. So recently, the big scandal was about North Koreans generating military IDs of the South Korean military and accessing their systems. So that's a big problem, but we have more problems because of AI. So the new cases or use cases for identity are emerging almost every day. So the first one is privacy-preserving age verification. We would like to understand who is 18 plus or not on the internet. The second problem that AI is generating is proof of human. So basically we have good AI online, we call them agents, and bad AI, we also call them agents or bots. And we need to understand who is human, who is not. Andrei talked about the misinformation. A lot of this misinformation is generated by the bots. One of the things that both age verification and proof of human is delivering is to understand who is human online on the social media and how we can, for example, permaban someone or a bot from social media, so spreading disinformation. Last but not least, financial services. We are working with KYC, AML, so anti-money laundering organizations. And because the identity is so crucial to the system, we can enforce sanction lists and understand who is getting the money, who shouldn't get the money, and stop fraudsters, but also terrorists and state actors who are not behaving nicely. So new regulations and adoption is skyrocketing. So in Poland, we have mObywatel, which has 10 million users and is growing rapidly. It is being used at least 1 million times a day. On the slide, you also see Google Wallet, which is emerging and is growing rapidly as well. Google Wallet allows us to add US passport and UK passport right now, but the coverage will spread very quickly. And of course, Apple Wallet, and these are just some of the digital identity wallets that are currently being put on the market. We are days or months before the eIDAS 2.0 regulation hits the market next year. All European countries will have identity wallets. This is the project called EUDI, so European Union Digital Identity Project. We are part of that. We are shaping this landscape in making digital identity easy to use. So what exactly do? We provide a global EID hub. We connect all the wallets, all the identity verification method into single API, single EID hub. If anyone wants to use the EID, for example, Solata can have mObywatel being a primary source of new users, verified that this is a Polish citizen, and no threat from bots, spreading misinformation on the network. So Autologic is the easiest way to get access to those identity wallets and digital identity in general. So join us. Thank you very much for your. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. But thank you. Have a good day.
Everybody, my name is Srihi. I'm CEO of Dalsec, a mobile security company backed by Google for Startups, and thank you for having me here. I'll briefly give you my speech and explain you what we do and what is special about us. So, first of all, introduction into context of the problem we solve. You might notice that we as a human, our online experience, our internet experience moves to mobile apps. even in this room, majority of people online, and some of you in mobile apps, and majority of you in mobile apps. Like before, it was like from the stage you see a lot of laptops. Yeah, now it's much more flexible, having just mobile. And the same way attackers did. So attackers also did go to mobile apps as well. And we have to admit that EID, e-government apps, digital identity, banking apps, even messengers and communicators, all these apps are part of critical infrastructure and APIs, which are backends exposed for communicating with these apps. This is our current critical infrastructure, and we should take it accordingly. So first of all, we need to actually apply the same kind of protection and resilience requirements we impose for other types of critical infra. And yeah, many governments actually notice that, and these kind of resilience requirements and app protection requirements are today part of many regulations in many countries, and national banks, government institutions more and more impose specific requirements for protections and resilience. Mainly it is against reverse engineering, against malware, against some kind of social engineering problems available. So what we did in Talsec, actually we took it as a challenge. The solution actually, legacy solution exists, and what these app issuers could do, and governments that issue the apps today, and financial institutions, what they could do, they can hire a big team of mobile security experts and developers that will target this issue. And another option could be to buy some legacy product from big security corporations for big money. And what we did in Talsec, actually, we put together the team of young talents, about 30 people. We put them together. We solved the challenge, actually, the technical challenge which was available to tackle, actually, by Pareto principles, like most typical security problems which app developers are experiencing. So we solved that, and we made it available for free for security enthusiasts, for community of AppSec experts and app developers. And we gained a lot of support from them, and later we did it, made it available for affordable price for long tail of organizations like fintechs, neobanks, small banks, governments of like small countries. And this is how we actually started, how we actually gained our, how we penetrated the market, and how we kind of reached the level of status of most widely adopted security runtime app protection SDK currently. And yeah, so how we did it, when we get this status, we actually got noticed, we got invited and accelerated by Google for Startups, and thank you for that, and gave us a lot of, again, credibility, and it's a very important word for us, indeed. And this is actually our status today, and we have, of course, a lot of things to do ahead of us, in front of us, a lot of challenges, but we kind of feel responsible for our big footprint on the market. It is about, I don't know, 10% of human population today have at least one app protected with our technology. And there's huge responsibility and great challenge that we facing today. And yeah, we are really actually optimistic about our future and our wish to contribute the future of mobile security. Thank you.
I'm as well very optimistic because, to be honest, I was on a stage 2 years ago on this event. And I remember when I was talking about dual use, collaboration between startups and the military, everyone was a bit skeptical. And now look at us. Here we have the whole round table listening to some great pitches. Guys, well done, really. I feel really proud that we have such projects coming from Poland or the region. And hopefully the collaboration that everyone is talking about is really gonna happen. So 2 more things in this session before you're gonna talk to Balnord and their presentation of the report. I would like to have a half an hour conversation with some amazing guests. And of course, I will always want to make it very vibrant, and I will ask you to prepare some questions because I would like to make it very interactive. But today, I will, of course, we're going to talk about how innovative startups are transforming security across defense, cybersecurity, and government technology. So I'm delighted to be joined by an outstanding panel. General Marcin Górka, Director of the Department of Innovation of Polish Ministry of Defense. John Hultquist, Chief Analyst at Google Threat Intelligence Group, USA. John Hultquist is already here with me. Christopher Kirchhoff, founding partner of Defense Innovation Unit. Great to have you here. Yeah, some people were telling me, oh, I forgot the book that he wrote, so he could sign it. He wrote it with you, with him. Great to welcome you here in Poland. Nikos Lautas, Director of Innovation, Hyper and Cyber Division, NATO. Last but not least, Marcin Wiśniewski, President of CTM PGZ Group, Poland. So as I said, I will pose a few questions for each of you. Please be brief, around 3 minutes each, and I will try to leave around 10-15 minutes for your questions. And I'm a very practical person. So we talk a lot about collaboration of startups and government, but we all know there are so many barriers. So from your perspective in the MD, how can we make it faster? Because the geopolitical situation is as it is. Everyone talks about it all around us. How can we make it faster, more efficient, and to protect ourselves more?
That's a great question, but this is the question we're trying to answer, I think, at least for last 4 years. How we can make it faster, what we can really do, how we can in some way modernize our set of mind to from the governmental point of view, to be more market responsive and to better understand all of the problems we've got inside and all the barriers we've got inside. I'm really happy to see Christopher with us. I'm a big fan of your book. And yeah, that's the great, I would say, that's the great solutions you implemented, but I really analyzed all the problems you addressed at the first stage. Because when I'm looking into our Ministry of National Defense and into our procurement system, we are so deeply similar to the problems you described. So starting with the long-term analysis and trying to understand the market for years to make final decision to acquire something. So at the end of the day, the technology we're trying to implement, it's not the latest one, and very often it's the lifespan of technology is already done, just addressing what I said before. So yeah, that's really difficult. What we are doing, this is my presence here is part of the things we are doing and the cooperation with the Polish Defense Fund and our approach to the technological park and trying to engage in the world which we call in Poland open innovation world, and trying to bring all those smart people with good ideas to our end users to discuss, to be iterative in the processes we've got, and be very, very much reactive with the market. This is what we are trying to do. As I said, we are not there yet, but I think that we are going the proper directions, and we've got the industry in almost each exercise we are doing. We've got the industry present when we are trying to address operational problems, and we've got a number of forums when we discuss, implement, screen what we really achieve, and trying to learn from the failures. So more or less, this is what we are doing. But I do believe there is still a long way ahead of us. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, we look at Ukraine and we look at Brave One, how agile and how flexible they are. So, General, what do we have to do to create Brave One Polish version in Poland? Sorry, it's my dream.
So the first, I think that we are on a proper way to do it. And the first thing is the national regulations. So we need to, in some way, be closer to the solution makers. Yeah. So because this is a kind of the heritage we've got from the previous time, where was a kind of the wall between the military and industry and academia. So there was a very little of interaction in terms of the creating the requirements, in terms of understanding the needs. And when we were ready on the military side with our needs and requirements, then we went to the industry just to learn that maybe our requirements and needs are not good enough to be answered. So this is the first part. So create a kind of the environment that we can, in a very open way, speak with the industry and academia. The second one is to be proactive in terms of finding the solution. We shouldn't just wait for our armaments procurement bodies to bring the solutions to us. We, as a military, as the end users, we need to be part of the process from a kind of the understanding the problem up to the delivery of the solution. And we also should be able to answer to any market changes and the technology changes during the delivery time. And just implement, test, understand what's wrong, and in this incremental way, bring next version of the solution you are looking for. Yeah, and be open. That's I think the main message.
So we have some end users here with whom I would like to ask a few questions, how you collaborate with startups. But before moving to that, I would like to pass my question to Christopher. Who knows Defense Innovation Unit? Okay, so I think we will need a brief introduction from what I Googled. It's Pentagon's Innovation Experiment that was launched in 2015. Christopher was the leader of this experiment, and we all around the world, I think, are looking at this experiment and what came out of it. Even at PFR, we are trying to get inspired how you made those things happen. So maybe you could share with us.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a privilege to be here at the forum talking about innovation, and so I commend WOTEC and everybody involved in today's event. Defense Innovation Unit was an experiment that in 2015, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter began because he realized that startups and tech companies in Silicon Valley were moving much faster and in fact actually had more R&D resources behind them than government labs. And his key insight was that militaries were soon going to have to become fast followers of commercial technology. No longer were we going to have technology generations ahead of what's available in the commercial market. So he sent my colleague Racha and I to Silicon Valley to stand up a small office with about 35 people and initially about $30 million to try and see if we could buy technology, pilot it in military missions, and move at Silicon Valley speed. It sounds very straightforward. However, in practice, it's incredibly difficult.
So how did you overcome all those barriers, and what kind of lessons we could learn here in Poland?
Well, for us, it really came down to support from leadership and from Secretary Carter himself. He knew that the existing processes of the department, how we bought technology, how we developed requirements, were not serving the warfighter. And he knew that we were going to be swimming upstream. And so he gave us incredible authorities. And he also made us report directly to him, which is very helpful when you're going to a meeting with somebody that might not want to be helpful. And if you look at where Defense Innovation Unit is today, not only is the unit now spending between $1 and $3 billion a year on some of the most important initiatives of the U.S. military, but the changes that we were able to get started under Secretary Carter have now grown into much bigger things in the Department of Defense. And I'll just name two of them very quickly that all of you should be watching as they roll out. The first is that Secretary Hegseth, in a memo in March of this year, said if you're going to be buying software, you have to use the fast contracting process that DIU developed. And because of that, we now have, I think, done about $80 billion worth of technology acquisition, in a contract process that lasts just a few weeks. But he made an even bigger announcement just in August, announcing that the requirements process that the Pentagon for 20 years had used to define joint warfighting requirements no longer existed. So these are big movements at the top of the department, backed now by real resources that in the United States are opening the floodgates for change.
Wow, that's a speed of really fast. Nikos, we know how NATO is active in terms of investment. We as the PFR, we are an investor in NATO Innovation Fund. We help MOD to promote NATO Diana activities in Poland, and we have some great examples of startups from Poland going to top 10 companies. What's your top strategy for the next, exactly, I don't know what kind of horizon we can have. Normally I would ask 3-5 years, but now the situation is so dynamic. So what's your investment strategy for the next, 1-2 years?
Yeah, thank you. And first of all, also thank you for having me here today. It's a real honor. As you mentioned, the timelines have really changed given the current context. So obviously we have a 5-year plan, but I think we focus now more on our immediate future. And you mentioned Diana and the NATO Innovation Fund. They both play a key role, each of them in their own field. They're helping us really strengthen what we would imagine as being a strong supply of relevant technological products ready for military use. Now, our efforts for the year to come are really focusing on how we can accelerate the adoption of those products. It's great to have companies. There's now over 120 companies in Diana's portfolio. There's roughly 10 or so in NIF's portfolio, and that's in addition to all other incredible startups out there. So there's enough products on the market, but what will really make the difference is once those products are really being adopted. So all our efforts are focusing on that. We launched in the Hague Summit a new action plan, which we call Rapid Adoption Action Plan. And our ambition there is to have a cycle that is roughly around 24 months from the time a requirement is identified to the time a contract is signed. And that can be very short or very quick or very slow, depending on different parameters. But we felt that this was a target everyone could agree with. There's 4 elements there that I would like to stress upon that are really important for us. First, in addition to all what's been said today, we need a strong signal, top-down, that experimenting is part of all our job and failing is fine. This means that we need to be prepared to take certain risks, especially when it comes to acquisition risks. And I think our friends in the US are very good at it. We in Europe are not as good, if I say the least. So we have to be much more bold in actually working with those startups, experimenting with them. Many of the companies in the room, I guess, if you ask them what they need, is actually a contract. The second is more opportunities for those companies to understand our problems and experiment and test their solutions in real-life environments. And for that, we launched at The Hague a concept that is called NATO Innovation Range. We already have 6 such ranges being deployed in cooperation with our allies. The concept of those ranges is that we will have standing facilities, oftentimes co-located with a NATO force, that will allow startups to experiment in real-life conditions. So gaining maturity, but then also a place where startups, operational end users, procurement people come together, and hopefully once again we close the gap between experimentation and contracting. The third element is obviously procurement. NATO cannot do much in procurement. We're not a legislative body, but we do want to facilitate exchange of lessons learned and good processes like the one mentioned to make us all move faster. And the fourth element is how can we, even within the current framework of capability development processes, how can we introduce new, more agile practices that help us deliver as we go? So no longer say we have super detailed requirements and after I don't know, 10 years you get something, but actually every 6 months have something filled it. And for that, in the Baltics and soon in other environments, for example, in counter-UAS, we borrowed the paradigm of Task Force 59 and 66 and deployed it in a NATO context. You might have heard of Task Force X in the Baltics, where in order to solve an old problem effectively, which is surveillance of a maritime region, and in order not to solve it with an old or a traditional solution, which means deploying Navy vessels, we deployed around 50 or 60 uncrewed sea vessels, and we achieved pretty much the same thing faster and at a fraction of the cost.
So it seems that the challenges are quite similar, like in 2015. We are moving very slowly forward, and the challenges are very similar. But I wanted to ask CTM, which is a tech company, state-owned army tech company. And what's your perception? You are our partner in the acceleration program, IDA, and we've been working for the last 2 years together. And I think you are the agile company open for collaboration, because I know you have some experience with startups. So I wanted to kind of give you as an example, maybe you're going to inspire other tech companies, traditional big companies, how to collaborate with startups to make the process fast, secure, and that will benefit your business.
Thank you for coming and asking me to be here. Of course, with you, I can say with PFR. You have to go with PFR and the world will be easier. Of course, it's a joke. I can say that from my private experience, I would like to be open for everybody, for engineers. Yes, we are in the PGZ group. It's not quite easy company. Not a group where is the agile development and some initiative are born. We try to make a CTM the environment and the spirit for the startups. For us, it's a challenge, of course, from the one point of view, but from the other point of view, it's a chance, because we would like to find the partners who has no constraints, who have open mind to find the technology. Because when we are talking with the MOD, we receive the requirements which describe the capabilities, the new capabilities. They would like to have new capabilities in the fastest way. That we try to translate to our partners, I mean to the startups, how how to work and how to achieve the requirements. And from them, we are receiving the quite good response, because they have many ideas, many issues which can be solved under using the new technology. For us, sometimes it's not so easy, because we have to be compliant with the internal group regulation. We have to be compliant with the procurement regulation, and sometimes the new generation guys who support us in that environment, they have no this kind of constraints. They can't see the risk, and it's open the mind to find the solution. That's why we would like to be at the IDA Bootcamp. The next IDA, I mean that year IDA Bootcamp 25, we create the challenges for the partners, for the startups, because we are focusing on the maritime, on the sea. We would like to protect the Baltic Sea and to protect the critical infrastructure. From our point of view, it's a natural, because we are a naval company. We worked with naval, and today there are many threats, and we understand the sea, and we understand the environment, we understand the customer, and we would like to translate and provide the information for the startups who can support us. And of course, today we are working with them and trying to build the new technology. That's my experience. I can say with our colleagues from the CTM, we are open to discuss with them, we are open to create the challenges, and we are open to receive the feedback, technical feedback from the startups.
Great openness. So now all the startups who would like to pitch to CTM, it's the moment after our panel, use it. John, over to you. You do, as Google, a lot in Poland. You have the campus here. Today you launched the cyber security badge that you're gonna start next year in Poland. I would like to ask you for some examples of already, did you use any startup solution internally? And do you have some stories you would like to share with us?
I came from a startup.
There we go.
It was a startup. There was an interim company, and then we got brought into Google. We were acquired. But I feel like I've got this. I've seen the trajectory and how it's developed, and what I've learned is what is really special about a startup is you have a lot of focus, and then you have the ability to turn on a dime. Mm-hmm. Right? And my experience in a startup was, I don't know if this is a metaphor that will work, throwing spaghetti at the wall. Has anybody ever heard of that? Okay, well,
what does it mean? To experiment?
Okay, yeah. Well, you would consistently try something new, and it wouldn't work, and then you would just change. And in a startup, you could change your mission like that, right? You didn't have a lot of the same amount of responsibilities, and that obviously changes over time. But I was part of a mission that was doing cybersecurity. We were trying to figure out how to, we were doing threat intelligence, and the threat was constantly changing, and some of the things that we tried worked, and many of them did not. But eventually we figured out what we were doing, and we were able to bring that along with us. What we brought, though, what we gained on the other side, though, was access to resources, which was tremendous, and reach, right? And so I found that we were able to do something very well, but suddenly we had the resources to actually fuel it, and the reach to get it out into the world. And between those two things, it really made us successful.
So do you still throw spaghetti at the wall, or?
I do, but it's a lot harder, right? Because we've got a lot more clients and a lot more responsibilities, and it's harder to turn that boat, under those circumstances, right? And that's one of the things that startups really bring, is they're free from a lot of those encumbrances.
Yeah, that's actually a question. If startups are able to sell directly to the military, I wouldn't say so. Perhaps they have to collaborate with bigger, more experienced companies that have all those certifications already to be able to implement this solution in the army, isn't it, General?
Yeah, yes, it is. But I think that both ways. It depends what you are doing with the startups. because when you are talking about the software, very often you can get straight to the military and sell the software, because we can easily do some tests and implement the software if it's applicable to our daily business, and we can do it. But when we are talking about the deep tech solutions, mostly they are part of the wider weapon systems. So you cannot just deliver to the military that part. Yeah? You need to work very closely with the primes, and it brings additional constraints. Yeah, because when that's part of our idea behind working with you on IDA, because we want to make sure that the primes, they get all the information about the latest technologies from the market, and together with that, a kind of our military assessment if this is the promising solution or not in terms of our needs. So this is how we deal with that. And on the second part of that, I would like to add that the typical procurement system, which is done in Poland by the Armaments Agency, is quite challenging for the startups. They are probably not most of them. They are probably not able to go through this kind of the quite demanding path, providing all those guarantees, all those elements which are required by law. So this is part of a kind of change we want to implement, just to make sure that we've got a kind of the parallel procurement system, which is going to be much easier, much, I would say, startup friendly, just to make sure that they can compete with any other companies for our contracts. So this is a part of the change we need to implement. And coming back to the main question, yeah, that's for startups. It's really challenging, and a lot of them, I even can say most of them, are not able to deliver according to the regulation we've got now in our typical procurement system. Yeah.
So maybe using your model could be our opportunity for Poland. Yeah.
Well, I am actually very optimistic. These are all hard problems, but we're at a moment when we're all facing, potential airspace incursions from an adversary in Europe. So that ought to focus the attention, if Ukraine hasn't already in a tragic way. But I would say, I just started a couple months ago at Scale AI, a $29 billion AI company. And we have 1,000 people who work on both the data aspects of artificial intelligence, but also people who work on the application side. And we are building some of the most amazing systems, both on the more classic weapons platform out of the house and also on the decision analysis part of the house. And we are plugging in both to startups and actually into primes. So I see the ecosystem evolving to be able to work smoother, perhaps as we catch up the rules and regulations that will power it further.
I know you wanted to add something.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, I want to build up on what Christopher mentioned. So I think it's not just about startups versus primes. I think the reality today is that if we want to solve and address the challenges we're facing, we need to extend our industrial base as far as we can. We cannot rely anymore on 10 or 15 companies in the globe. That we know. So I think finding ways to work not only with startups, but also with what we call the non-traditional suppliers. So companies that maybe some years ago, like Scale AI, like even Google and Microsoft, some years ago were not considered as primes to defense, is really imperative. We need to find ways to work with them. Otherwise, we're really in deep trouble because we won't be able to benefit from these technologies. And in many cases, also, it might take our primes time to integrate those technologies. So we have to be able to go directly to them. And the last point I'd like to raise is that I would also be very careful trying to establish or create some kind of a glass ceiling, telling a startup, you can do your best right here, but you are never going to be right here to work with me directly, because then I find this very discouraging. And in Europe especially, we need to work very hard to double and triple and quadruple the number of our primes, of our unicorns. And to do that, we need to give them opportunity.
Okay. I have one question to sum up at the end, but this time I would like to give a floor to some of our guests here. Oh, there we go, some startups. So let me pass here.
Thank you so much, Bartosz Łopiński, Millennium. First of all, I would like to congratulate to startups and you, ladies and gentlemen, for your journeys. It's really inspiring. I have a question because we are right now probably in 2015 trying to reshape or actually create ecosystem that combining all universities, government, and enterprises. You've been through this path since 2015. What was the most challenging and how to navigate? If you could recommend the top 3 or top 5 recommendations, because you started your expose by saying it was difficult, it was challenging. So what was the most challenging, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Oh, in the first week I was on the job, Congress cut our budget entirely. And we also realized that we weren't able to contract with any Silicon Valley firm on commercial terms because nobody had yet figured out the loophole that we then discovered and quickly implemented. So we had no money, and even if we had money, we had no way to deploy it. So that's how we started, and that's why I used to be much better looking. It was a hard slog, but it was worth it, and it was what the mission demanded. And we should all let the mission here lead us, because the pace of change on the battlefield does not respect how our institutions have done business in the past. And we cannot allow our institutions to let us fail.
Chris, and I also have a question to another Chris, Mr. Kirchhoff. From your story you told, it sounds like the biggest choke point in making the procurement process fast enough was actually politician. You were fortunate enough to have this direct exposure to Secretary of State, if I recall correctly. And I don't know what's the experience of other dual tech startups here in the room. From our experience, that's exactly the same bottleneck we have right now in Poland. My question is, or my assumption is that they're bottleneck because they're afraid of taking the responsibility, because they may be scrutinized. How to convince politicians to take that responsibility? If we can unblock this choke point, I believe we can unblock the whole process. How to do that?
I mean, I would just say we're still building tanks. 3 years after we realized that tanks no longer are survivable on the modern battlefield. And I would much rather take heat for a procurement failure than I would what would happen if I had to go to war and all I had were tanks and I didn't have any autonomous systems.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think what NATO is doing and the fact that NATO is having investment fund, acceleration program, that already opened eyes of the politicians in Poland. Because it shows somehow you show us the way, you lead us, that it's important for you, and that definitely that help us as the government institution to talk to politicians that that's the way to go.
Maybe actually in this rapid adoption action plan I mentioned, if you look at the opening paragraphs, the main focus was really on this risk, and practically the text that was really heavily negotiated practically says that government should be able and ready to accept certain types of risk, and acquisition risk is such a type of risk. And that was a document that effectively was endorsed by heads of state, and the reason why we want to have this at that level is because we understand you and we want to find ways from our point of view, we're bureaucrats, so our ways will be a bit more bureaucratic. But at least, this can also give you ammunition to have these conversations.
Any more questions? Oh, wow. So, okay, maybe not from startups. I'm sure it's challenging. Maybe here, and then we can give back to you.
Bad news, I'm from startup. Okay, but
that's great.
Not very young, but I have a question. I liked what you said here about the glass ceilings, and all of you was talking about procurements and that they are not prepared for collaboration with startups. And the simple question to the general maybe: have you ever tried or are planning to try just to ask companies what should be changed in the procurement rules? To have this feedback and later on start to prepare the law, to change it.
Mm.
So the simple answer is yes, we have. Yes, we have, and we are working to change our procurement system. But I think the main point, and I would come back also to the previous question, is that I think this is not very much about the legal framework in terms of the procurement. It's not very much about ability to accept the risk. It's very often about kind of the courage of people go out of the typical procedures they are used to. So if you look into our public procurement law, there are a number of the ways you can satisfy your needs using very innovative approaches. But I don't know why we are trying to change it, but it's not very much in use. And we are trying to understand why. What are the kind of the mindset problems within the procurement system to use these easy ways to approach even the small companies, ask them for the problem solution. So this is one part. The second part, on the military side, we are very much tied to the very detailed requirements. And instead of trying to address to the market how you can solve my problem, it's can you deliver me this kind of solution? That's also the problem, yeah. And this is also the kind of change we try to implement. So, and I think we are quite in a constant dialogue with a number of small companies around different ecosystems. I would say, asking them, so what you really need from us that you can get in terms to be better informed and to be in the competitive process with us.
Okay, startup.
Okay, so thank you. Part of the innovation process is the research and development grants and collaboration between startups or smaller companies and the institutes. So I've got a question. Do you see the way or a chance to speed up the process of application assessment and speed up the process of the grants themselves? Because nowadays it looks like it takes years to get any results from the application, not to mention that later the development process, and sometimes even during this development process, it takes months to get any response from for example, from the military or from the other entities that are somehow connected with the matter of the project. So, do you see a chance to change it?
Yeah, this is also the part of our interaction with the market we are working on. We see how it works in terms of R&D, which is from definition quite a long process. And our understanding is that to make sure that we create the proper environment for innovation, we need to invest in traditional R&D, because you need to get a kind of the knowledge and technology competencies to build on that innovation. And I do agree that the process, it's not perfect now. And that's why we change a little bit the Polish Ministry of National Defense approach to R&D process. There's less R&D projects which are very based on the kind of the requirements. Most of them are based on a kind of the area of interest from the military, and you can come to the military and propose what you want to do in terms of, for example, the artificial intelligence in support of intelligence. Yeah. So this is the change we are implementing. And also what we want to do, we want to improve our cooperation with National Center for Research Development to make sure that we've got access to all the tools they've got, not just the military part of them, but also the civilian market. Yeah, this is what we're trying to do. Thank you.
So slowly we're gonna sum up. Yesterday, while looking at Twitter, I've seen a quote of a representative of Institute of Defense of France saying, in 2025, France in the EU is very different. France believes Europeans should rely on their own strengths. Of course, we all believe that Poland should rely on our own strength, but I deeply believe that we should rely on transatlantic collaboration. And my last question will be to Christopher. How do you see dual-use deep tech shaping transatlantic security in the next 5-10 years?
I am so excited because I think there are technological approaches growing up, not only in the US context, but also in the European and the Ukrainian context, that will allow Europe to make some really smart decisions about leapfrogging capability. In a way, the United States is more burdened by having a lot of old legacy platforms. And the combination of the infusion of resources that European leaders have committed to, combined with amazing new AI-enabled technology growing up in pilots right now at Defense Innovation Unit and in the military services, could come together in an astonishing leap in capability in the next few years here.
Even this stage that we commonly share with Google is an example of a very good collaboration that we have. So thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you for all these inspiring questions and all the pitches. Enjoy the rest of the event. Although here, five more minutes. Okay, yeah, everyone stays at the same place. Thank you for.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, wonderful panelists. And we have the last last presentation. So stay at your place. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you very much. And you can go.
Thank you.
Last presentation, supposed to be 2, but it's 3 gentlemen. So, yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really happy that you decided to stay with us on this special event. My name is Wojciech Raczyński. I'm from Balnord. We are Frontier Tech investor investing in Baltic Sea dual-use companies. And today, together with Paweł Huras from Polish Development Fund and my teammate Marcin Kowalik, general partner of Balnord, we would like to make special for you world premiere of our dual-use handbook. Before we dive into the details, I will pass mic to Paweł, who will tell you why this publication is important.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. A few years ago, I thought it will be easy to adapt open innovation model into defense market because it will be easy. But from today's perspective, I don't know what dual use is. I don't know. What is it? What technologies we talk, how to implement these new technologies and adapt it into big defense system. So we think with Wojtek and Marcin, we need to change it. And we prepare together a handbook where we collect knowledge from different perspectives, investors, innovators, defense industry experts, military, in one place to try, understand how to thinking about dual-use technologies, because the definition, it isn't important. Important is to how to enter to this new market, defense market, from a civil perspective. So thank you very much, Wojtek and Marcin, for prepare this handbook. And I think it is a good stuff to read and understand about dual use.
Thank you, Pavel. I will be quick. You know, we are tired. So sometimes the one chapter say more than 1,000 words. So if you're looking about the chapters, the question is, Europe is ready to create 200 billion, 1% of the GDP of the European company on the new prime, new sectors, as a Palantir or SpaceX. This example is showing us like the traditional defense company, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, their fair market value, and the SpaceX and Palantir. And this is the difference, where is the single use and dual use. And the huge question is, Europe is ready to create 200 billion company. And that question is coming from me, from the huge movement what creates Mark Anderson and Catherine Boyle from Anderson Horowitz company. That movement is in American dynamics. So how to invest in the critical industry. And the question is, Europe is ready to invest in the critical industry to secure our democracy. And the next chapter is, I have the massive questions. What happens when the war ends? That dual use is die, you know, nobody wants to invest then? No. We are in Warsaw, so I'm showing you of the GDP of the Poland. You know, the Poland is one of the successful countries of the world. We are growing from the last 30 years. So then you can see on that line in the middle is the normative GDP growing from the 2.5 times from the last 20 years. And the second one is the R&D the spending of the defense on the Polish GDP from the last 20 years is very regular line. But the red line is the spending on the R&D altogether in Poland from the last 20 years is grow up 8 times. But what happens of that blue line is the R&D spending on the defense. So you see of the huge gap between growing R&D and down R&D on the defense. And this is the answers. No, after war is the end, that not means the end of the invest in the R&D defense. That's just starting. And the third chapter, if you're looking what happens in Europe, Europe is wake up. Then you can see how fast growing the spending and the investments on the dual-use sectors. This is the companion data because, you know, we don't have exactly the, you know, the data, you know, who is invest and what is the exactly dual-use. So we compare the different company, deal room, pitch book, and many of the data. And then you can see how that fast growing. So 3 most important things. Europe wake up. Europe needs 200 billion, 1% new prime. And we must switch spending stupid R&D projects to what is really matters.
Thank you, Marcin. And knowing all of this information, these opportunities, but also challenges, we decided to create dual-use handbook for founders that are building technologies for European tech autonomy. Last year, we provided first edition of the handbook, and my colleague told me, wow, Wojtek, you have wrote the book. This one today is twice bigger than the one from December, so enjoy this. But to revealing you what's inside, we got a lot of practical knowledge from the people who are making these technologies be tested and used on the battlefield. There was a question how we can take lessons from Brave One. We got lessons from Brave One, how they evolved and how we can make it for the Poland or Europe. We got also founders who are on a daily basis building dual-use companies. Rafał Modrzewski from ISI, Radek Piesiewicz from APS, and also Sebastian Klaus from Germany that is trying to build a re-entry capsule for Europe because it's a must. These founders are sharing their strategies, tactics for building European champions on the dual-use markets. But not enough, we need also financial part and investors and decision makers. So you can find in the dual-use handbook instruments of European Commission, of European defense funds, of NATO, and information how to work with investors that would like to support dual-use companies. So we have taken 36 experts from 10 countries with the one mission to help to accelerate European dual-use ecosystems. Some of them are all together with us in this room and on the conference, so try to catch them up and ask them more questions to get more knowledge. I would like also to thank you to all of entities and partners involved in making this publication happen, to Wojtek Dzięgiel from Casimir Pułaski Foundation, to Polish Development Fund, PFR Ventures, European Investment Funds, and many, many, many other entities that supported us to make this publication today for you. So there are still few physical copies of the publication to take. This is very rare opportunity to take it with you. If you want also, you can take the PDF file direct from our website. And yeah.
So, long is lazy, short is hard. Let's go make the new prime.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And I think it's 5 to 3. So this is, I think it's just something that hasn't happened during the Warsaw Security Forum, but it shows that we are just keeping in time and we know how to make a wonderful presentation and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And how I said, this is not the first. This will be continued during the forum and in between, because the Warsaw Security Forum is just annual conference. It's not just. It will be the. It will be next year will be the great 13th anniversary, so 1-3, which will be today. And stay with us because we will pronounce the partner country. But referring back to the Innovation Hub, stay with us. We will continue this. We will work with our partners. And I just got this news of 150 million euros being invested from a deep tech. So this is wonderful from PFR. So I think we see those money coming, and hopefully there will be money coming from private investors. And those guys, those primes, they are looking for venture capitals to invest into startups. So we need just to get this ecosystem in Poland work, isn't it? Yes, we have a lot of fantastic people also writing on AI and so on. We are here as the Polaski Foundation in Poland, around the globe. So just, please call us, use us, and we will do the magic working with partners from MOD, from Poland and other countries. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon, but please stay with us until the end of the conference. And then you will be earning the next year entrance. Thank you.